and physical activity has been termed as one of the best preventive policy against key diseases to boost and a boost to mental health across the globe. Now, speaking during the conclusion of the 3-day ICHPER or ICHPER SD conference at Kenyatta University, stakeholders, researchers, academicians, and policy makers in physical activity, recreation, and sports science are now calling for the development of key infrastructure and investment in physical activity for a healthy and productive continent.
During the third and the last day of the International Council for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, Sports and Dance, famously known as ICHPER SD, a culmination of intensive interactions and thought-provoking papers from various stakeholders, a resounding call to action for advancing physical education and sports literacy among children and the youth filled the air.
Physical and sports literacy need to be promoted among children and youth across African nations to secure the future of the continent. The key role of physical activity and exercise, not just for enhancing sports performance, but also for their preventative therapeutic effects on various diseases, kept reverberating throughout the keynote addresses, the guest speeches.
Academicians, researchers, and policymakers reiterated on the importance of physical activity in boosting mental health and developing a sustainable and productive society.
We are trying to look at how we can, uplift sports, physical education in schools, colleges, and in all the countries in Africa, whereby we can produce better students, better athletes, that will continue to make podium performances all over the world. That's why we are gathered here for the past 3 days.
So physical activity plays a big role in our mental health, starting from our children to us, parents, and even to the old people. So we've tried, like in Masinde Muliro, we've tried to do aerobics in school, to introduce aerobics in school, whereby the students who are doing aerobics, they can go to schools and at least during PE 20 minutes or 30 minutes, they engage in a physical activity because it is now interesting, aerobics, use of music. Because most people look at physical activity as a waste of time and also something that is boring. So if we introduce aerobics, just jogging, walking, which is very cheap, it's very cost effective. Not just going to the gyms, because most people cannot afford gyms.
Representing delegates from different African countries, ICHPER SD President applauded Kenyatta University for demonstrating regional leadership in physical education and sports-related fields and its exemplary ICHPER SD traditions.
Those of us that came are going back to our various countries and homes, more knowledge, more equipped to practice the profession more than we have been doing before. This Congress is always held every 2 years. So already, even from today, we have started planning for the next Congress, which will be hosted either by South Africa or Cameroon.
Kenyatta University's Vice-Chancellor Professor Washeke Wanjohi, through her representative Professor Caroline Thurua, affirmed the university's commitment in advocating for sports literacy in the society and formulation of policies to nurture and advance physical education in the Africa region.
From the reports I have received, I am convinced that the conference has lived up to its promise. I'm informed that over 100 persons from across Africa and beyond participated in this conference, both in person and online, and that over 70 research-based presentations ranging from keynote papers to papers by guest speakers and presenters from the fields of physical education and exercise and sports science and related disciplines have been presented. Ladies and gentlemen, Let me take this opportunity to thank the International Council for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, Sports and Dance, Africa region, represented here by no other than the President, Professor Morakinyo, and other members of the board for giving us, Kenyatta University, the opportunity to yet again host this premier conference. Mr. President, we truly appreciate the honor and look forward to hosting the conference once again in the not too distant future.
As the International Council for Health, Physical Education, Reproduction, Sports and Dance 3-day conference came to a conclusion at Kenyatta University, researchers, stakeholders and different policymakers from the areas of physical activity, sports, science came to an agreement that better working relations and investments will definitely lead to better sports performance in Kenya and even in Africa and the entire world. Theo Masharia for KUTV.